This project is one of the first in which we applied another aesthetic element. In this case, we used the continuous grain. They were very large doors. It was a sideboard of a certain size with only 3 doors. We added continuous grain to add interest, the first project where we applied texture. The result is fantastic. We really like it. The triangular legs, you know why, are very robust and unique. The idea is that if you see it, you know you've seen it elsewhere. It was a hit. We made it a little smaller, with a handle, vertical, always trying to keep elements such as the continuous grain. Grooving then became a language, and we began to apply it on bed headboards, pedestal tables, and the smooth, in this case, together with the grooved, and it looks like a shinier surface. Here we are working with light and shadow, not only with texture. The same in this dresser. For this dresser, in addition to the grooving, the light, and the shadow, the client asked for it to be 2 meters. And for us, it is a pain in the back. So first we proposed to do 2 minor elements, and we added very slender legs that also give it more lightness. I like that it is a part of it, and it is more pleasant to work on it independently. And its use is more flexible. Eventually you move and you can arrange them differently, and all is fine. It's the texture, it's the light and the shadow that give character to a single material. This is just pine. This project, I want to show you this grooving, is one we just saw, but here it had another use. We wanted to hide the speakers of his stereo. That was the goal of this piece. Back here are the speakers. We used the grooving to create a space here with the router. The groove is made with the bench saw, and you get a translucent panel, but that still works as a panel. And behind are the speakers. It looks very nice, harmonic, and exploiting a single material. That was one of the rules. This shelf was for a client's kitchen. Interestingly, the origin of this design is how we store the wood in the workshop. It is 100% functional and structural. It's nice because we like this kind of thing. We were able to improve some measurements, hide the screws, so that it was more attractive. But the beauty was that the simplicity. It works very well. In the context, it was necessary to consider from the beginning that there was a switch and an intercom. Don't find those items later. Always ask for a photo of where it will be placed. And the icing on the cake of that language that we are developing on this project. And I love it for its simplicity and because it has a lot of these concepts. The bottom part is irregular, this double height that we seek, very architectural. You can put a plant here too, elements that tie in the bottom and the top. It has these slender elements for storage, but they don't go from side to side, but leave these spaces with double height and these translucent slotted sliding doors. What we did on the speakers now, it appeared as an interesting proposition for a project where the client wanted to have movement. You could hide something back here that would peek out from behind the door and organize it in one way one day and another day. Notice that it is very simple but interesting. It is a language. I can apply it later on another project. I show you this because when you get a commission that is different from you have to adapt it. This was a piece from a model airplane hobbyist. It had storage space in front, on the sides, all compartments measured. He gave me all the measurements. He was someone very obsessive too, but the reference image that he sent us was this. It was a horror. It's not Maderística. My proposal was this, making spindle legs on a batten. This is what gives these legs structure, so that they are not indestructible. We added the minimum angle that we had used on the other desktop, and the door was left with a shadow and slotted, of course. That's to make this top look a little lighter. The hyper-functional drawers, everyone happy, and this does look like Maderística. I show you this project because it was worked strictly from the detail. A 4-legged box with drawers on both sides, a coffee table. And we add this detail that we will use in our project, with that rounded edge on the outside, and beveled on the inside, creating that curvature. Also, texture on the drawers. I really like that type of handle. Tapered legs, I always wanted to do them. I did them in this project. The batten with a curve and a lot of details like that that give it a unique character and that we then apply in another project, the evolutionary process. So we did the same grooving here. These are interesting shadows, another type of handle. The bezel is only on the inside, not rounded on the outside, and the contrast of the two wood shades. Stackable stools project. By requirement, they had to be slim, because I can't put a crossbeam to reinforce the joint. Therefore, that joint was the whole project. That's how we understood it. It is a through batten with a walnut wedge. And that curve also puts the accent on this corner, which is basically the project. Like these stools with a framework structure, and again, the project is the joints. In this case, it was a through and half wood joint. This project also has to do with commissions that are not like anything you have done. So you wonder why they do, but the client used it as a reference. She wanted this, but in our style. She wanted a desk and a dresser, but aligned, not in L. We first proposed freestanding furniture because they were 2 meters long. Our proposal was this, a desk and a dresser. But I wanted them to be seen as a single event. The language of the doors, the material, everything adds to it. We work texture, many of the resources that I mentioned, but what I want to show you on this example is this detail. I saw it a while ago on a table from some friends, and it is unique. It is not the same way in which one links the top to its extension. Usually you want to hide it. It was interestingly conspicuous, and I used it here. But I also used it in the relationship between leg and drawer. This is the desk. The legs at the end are cylindrical. It is round here, and the drawer also has that curve. That interesting shadow is produced. The same here, that curve. It has a curve here, and that tells you the language to apply in the handles. Lots of details emerge from this first image. Last project I want to show you, it also has to do with this relationship with clients. The first sketch, very symmetrical, very static for us. The drawer is up here, this is a bar, the glasses down here, and a door on each side. This is our proposal. The first thing we did, break the symmetry. Put the drawers down here and the glasses here. I think it is much more interesting. There go the glasses. We did an angle, some details, and we worked with texture, with 2 shades of wood, elements we had been testing. We made this kind of handle, which I loved. It is a normal dovetail. That detail in another wood, in this case acacia, on Raleigh Beach doors and a manual frame. We use it for its shade. The properties of Raleigh for the doors are fantastic. The idea is that this would be a surprise, that it only appears when you open the doors. Another element also feasible to develop from the design. When you make 45-degree joints between the top and the side, ideally it should be a continuous grain. It's a great opportunity to organize your cuts so that the continuous grain is seen, and a tenon. In this case, it is expressively interesting, and structurally it is wonderful. This is the final project. What I wanted to show you was what I mentioned before, that this has to do with an evolutionary process. Perhaps at first one looks from the perspective of the general form. It is called the general view, the outline of the project. If it had a strange shape, but we end up with simple projects and their solution is more elegant, more details. But it is because we master the trade, we have more resources. There are different alternatives to handle aesthetics. Everything is structurally resolved accordingly, and functionality is always present. Between the first project of the chair and this, almost 9 years passed. I insist it is an evolutionary process. Don't get too eager about it having its own language or having a wonderful design. You are going to explore the design possibilities as you learn the craft. Having seen how these 3 variables interact, next I will show you how to think like a carpenter.